Hello and welcome to another Ask Us Anything Live with me, Kate R, for Intrepid English. So every Friday I go live and I talk about a grammar, pronunciation, or vocabulary point. It could be a question from one of my students, or it could be a question that I thought would be really useful. So last week I started talking about phrasal verbs and how important they are because native speakers will always use the phrasal verb over the natural verb. And it's really confusing for non-native speakers because we change the meaning or it's the preposition is different, so that changes the meaning of the phrasal verb, or even it's just completely different to what you have in your language. So to continue on, I'm going to give you the next 5 really useful phrasal verbs that I would really love you to start using today. So the best thing for a phrasal verb is to think of your own personal example and then to start using it, because then it will start to be more and more natural for you. So the next phrasal verb on my list is to call off. So that means to cancel something. And we will always say call off rather than cancelled. So for example, the event was called off because of the rain. We could say the event was cancelled because of the rain, but a native speaker will more likely use to call off. The next one is to bring up. So this is to mention or introduce a topic. So she brought up a really interesting point during the discussion. It was really extremely interesting today. My students, she really did. It was such an interesting point she came up with. She brought up. And I just used the next phrasal verb that I'm going to use, which is to think or create something, which is to come up with. So she came up with an idea. She came up with a solution. So that is to think or create something. So she came up with a great idea for the next project. The next phrasal verb is to turn down. Again, really useful. So the literal phrasal verb is obviously to turn down music, to decrease the volume, but it can also mean to refuse or reject someone or something. So she turned him down if he asked her out on a date, or she turned down the job offer. So she refused it, she rejected it. The last one I want to give you today is to put off. So this is a really, really useful phrasal verb and it's really good to use. It means to delay or postpone something. So we had to put off the meeting for next week because with all the different time zones, it was impossible for us to find a common time. So it's really useful to put off. So the phrasal verbs today were to call off, meaning to cancel, to bring up, so that's to introduce or mention a topic. Then we also have to come up with, which is to think or create something, to turn down, to refuse or to reject, and to put off, to delay or postpone something. So I would really love you to start thinking of your personal examples so it can help you in your English. And if you start using phrasal verbs, really, truly, your language, your English will be so impressive to everyone. So that's bye for me. I hope you have a wonderful weekend and see you next week for the final